So my passion is to learn about other people's passions, because when someone has a chance to talk about what they're most passionate about, everything about their being becomes brighter, it becomes more real, it becomes more them. And I think that authenticity and that feeling alive and connected and present in the world is a thing I want to surround myself with all of the time. On today's episode, I am chatting with the adventurous Lori Perry. If you want to learn more about Lori, please go to janesplace.com, where you can learn more about her and her favorite comfort food. Let's talk a little bit about what you're most passionate about. And it could be one thing, it could be many things, but what I'd like to do is kind of delve into an area that gets you really excited, and then we'll kind of maybe dig a little bit deeper into why and how that sort of shows up in your life.
I was thinking a little bit about this, and it's very challenging for me to narrow it down to one thing, but I think it all kind of rolls up to a passion that I have, which is really adventure and travel and kind of novelty, I would say. So for me, I was trying to think kind of where that came from, and did it come later in life or earlier in life. And I remember as a child driving across Wyoming, which is, I'm sure you've done at some point. It's very flat, but in my mind I was always kind of daydreaming or imagining being a Native American and going on these adventures out into the great unknown. And I was obsessed with explorers growing up. I read everything I could about every explorer, and then as I got older, like my probably mid-teens, I had an opportunity. I started meeting people in my life that opened opportunities for me to travel, and the more I traveled, the more I wanted to travel, and then that opened up all kinds of other passions and hobbies in my life. But I think it's really like exploring and meeting new people from different cultures, and exploring different cultures.
So maybe talk a little bit about some places that you've traveled where they really would be a great example of adventuring, and like, were you super young, or like, were you by yourself, or just kind of to give a little bit more fabric around that?
Yeah, well, so I'll start early. Early on, I would say my first big adventure was when I was 16 and went to the Netherlands. That was probably my first big adventure on my own. I'd been to other places before that with, I was fortunate that my stepfather was a consultant and traveled globally, and he kind of opened my eyes to the world of travel originally. And I, when we were like 15 or something, took us all to Singapore, which was a whole other world, and a lot traveling domestically. But then when I was 16, I met a foreign exchange student that I ended up dating, and invited me back to stay with he and his family. So went there and lived there for the summer when I was 16, which really kind of ignited in me a hunger for seeing all the rest of the world that I possibly could. So then I ended up pursuing international studies as a degree in college, and went and studied in Austria, and lived with a family who didn't speak any English. I wanted to be with a family who didn't speak any English.
Oh my gosh, was this a program through your university, or was it
Yeah,
something
I
else?
actually found a program through University of Northern Illinois. My university was University of Washington, but I wanted to go originally to the Netherlands, and there were no programs at the time for they were like, no, why do you need to learn Dutch? So, nobody needs to learn that. So I did German, and I wanted to study in Austria because I love skiing. It was also a passion of mine. So I found this program that kind of combined skiing and studying in Austria.
More skiing or more studying?
No, it was more studying, but there was definitely skiing involved. So and then while I was just studying over there, I backpacked all over with friends. I think we hit most countries while I was there, and really loved Europe. And then when I came back, after I graduated from university, I worked a couple jobs, saved all my money, and then I went backpacking for almost 6 months to Australia and New Zealand, which I loved. And
6
Fiji.
months?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I spent, like about a month going through Hawaii, Fiji, like Pacific Islands, and then New Zealand for a couple months, and Australia for like 3 months. Yeah, or like 2.5. So about 5.5 months. Yeah.
Did you do that by yourself, or did you have somebody?
Yeah. So I had a friend who went with me for the first part of it, and then she left about a week after we got to Australia. She ran out of her funds and had to go back. And I remember my parents came and met with me, and they showed up, and I had $1 left. So yeah, so that's kind of so I did that, and then work over the years presented opportunities for travel, and I've just always continued. I mean, you and I, some of my great friends like you, who I met through travel in Switzerland, a trip that we were doing. And then most recently, I would say one of my best experiences I've had recently, my husband, who is English, so I've gone to England quite a bit, as you can imagine. But we, for our 10th anniversary, went with friends, and then part of the trip was with ourselves, went to Japan. That trip I really was pretty special, because for me it had been a long time since I've been somewhere that really challenged me.
Yes.
The way I loved when I was younger, having these experiences and going somewhere for the first time, and having to, back then you did have to learn more of the language to get around, and use like books, and you didn't have every answer for you at the tip of your finger. And Japan was just so different, and there was enough people who did not speak any English that you had to really work through some challenging situations and figure out, or just take a risk and point to something on the menu you had no idea what it was.
Wow.
And that kind of thing. So I think the excitement of going somewhere totally different was great. So
That's amazing. And what else do you have on your kind of bucket list? Where have you not been that you really want to travel to?
so many.
Yeah.
So many. I mean, well, I really want to go to Africa. That's definitely on the list. And my husband has a friend in Cairo right now, so I'd like to take advantage of that opportunity to go to Egypt. But also, my favorite animal is elephant. My favorite animals are elephants. So I really want to do a safari, see animals in the wild. And I would love to do some kind of, volunteer experience over there for a little while, maybe some kind of humanitarian experience. I think maybe combine fun with volunteering of some kind. So that's high on my list. One of my other passions is nature and hiking and things like that. So I also really want to go to Peru. I'd love to hike in the Andes and then the Himalayas. I really want to go to Nepal as well. So those are probably my top 3 right now, and I would like to go back to Japan. To be honest, it was not long enough. I'd like to spend more time over there, but I could probably give you a list of 100 other places too.
I love the idea of the safari with the humanitarian aspect. I would like to.
You want to come along?
I would actually love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Let's
think
do
that
it.
I have on my bucket list is to do a safari. I have a couple of friends that are from South Africa that could probably sort of help define
us
what
point in the right
the right
direction.
direction and everything. But I do think that would be an amazing experience, because I'm a big animal person too, and I just can't even imagine what it's like to be able to be in that environment. I think would be amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, I think the things that inspire you and change over time, like in that kind of, while adventure and your desire for adventure doesn't change, the things you want to see maybe and what that you want to experience will change over time. And obviously with your physical ability, I'm probably not going to climb Everest anymore, or I don't know, maybe but certain things that maybe were on my bucket list have changed with life and family and all of that. So
well, it's so great that you did so many of these things when you had the time, even if you didn't have all the resources, because New Zealand is kind of top of my bucket list to go to, but it's like being able to take the time to do it properly. It just feels like I've not ever been able to do that, and sort of trying to think about, because it feels like, you went, you were gone for 5.5 months, you said. I think like for me to be gone, I was just in London, as you know, for a month, and to leave for like a month was like this big time commitment,
right?
know?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that is, I think I don't know that I really thought too much about it, or like put all the planning behind doing that after I graduated. It was more like everything I thought I wanted to do when I grew up, I had changed my mind and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought that might give me some perspective. And so it wasn't necessarily out of some great grand plan as much as, okay, I'm going to do this while I'm trying to figure things out. But I would say, I know we always want to push our kids to go get that first job and da-da-da. But, if my kid had the passion, which I think at least one of them definitely does, and wanted to take some time and do that before they went out and figured out their career world, I would encourage it, because it is harder to make those things happen as you get more and more commitments in life. And anytime you can get an opportunity to live or spend an extended time somewhere, you're just gonna learn so much more and experience so much more than you can in a couple weeks or 10 days or whatever we usually get for a vacation over here.
Well, and to immerse yourself in the culture, like you said, and to even go someplace where you don't know the language and sort of not be uncomfortable with that and trying to learn, I think. And the one thing I just want to hit on that you said I think is so important, I'd like to just kind of underline it and put it in caps, is this concept of someone who's just graduating college to not feel like you have to, or high school even, right? Mm-hmm. Just that when you're sort of moving into another phase of your life, to not feel like you have to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
And you're the mother of an almost 19-year-old and a 20-year-old, and how hard is it for you to not try to have them having to have it figured out? Because when you sort of talk about other people's kids, you kind of go, you don't need to have it figured out, but like for your kids, like
for mine, they have to
have it figured out.
Yeah, no, trust me, they do enough of telling me not to, like setting that boundary. But I think having these experiences in my life is what gives me that grounding when I'm starting to feel that feeling that most parents feel, like, oh my gosh, should I let them do this or try this or whatever? I go back and think of myself at that age and think of, these experiences and that they ultimately shaped me probably more than most other experiences that I had in the workforce or in life. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine recently that we studied in Europe together, and I think everybody who was in that group would say that was the most formative year of their life.
Yes.
And how it changed all of us so much. And you don't get those experiences like that very often later in life. So I think, just the fact that I've had those experiences helps when I have those panicky feelings like, oh, what if they don't figure it out and da da da.
Right.
Those types of experiences are what often gives you the perspective and the confidence to, make decisions and take risks and do things in your life that end up leading you to where you are now. And I think that goes on and on for the rest of your life. Probably it's not that one time, but I don't know.
I love that you hit on confidence, because it is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because I do think that is an area that what I've seen in my career is, if somebody is confident, kind of shows up in the world with a confidence, not a cockiness, but a confidence about themselves, that they're going to be able to accomplish so much more, and I think have a lot of personal satisfaction. So I think kind of tying some of your own personal confidence to going out and having these experiences and how formative, it just sort of, it opens up the different ways that you can become confident. It isn't just about a job or maybe a relationship with somebody, but actually just an experience that's going to help you kind of grow.
Yeah, and I think for me, travel with it typically, sometimes you're lucky and everything goes totally smoothly, but generally, especially when you're on the budget that most younger people are on, you are going to have challenges, and working through those kinds of challenges and problems yourself contributes a lot to confidence in every situation in life. When you have to go up and ask someone that doesn't speak your language, whether you're on the right train, or figure out, like, sometimes it's negotiating with someone that you lost your passport and you gotta still get on this train to get home, or whatever it is. But those experiences in life, for me, I think gave me confidence in other areas of my life. To I don't know, just believe in myself that I'll always figure it out. I think that's the thing. Whether you're in trouble or not in trouble, you'll get through it.
I love that. I think it's a good way to maybe end this segment, just to talk about that, about always being able to figure it out. I think there's something about that that's such a powerful concept too, which is, there's very few situations that you get put in life that can change your course in a negative way, right? Where you can't figure it out, you've killed somebody, or you've done some kind of a crime or something. But most everything that seems so hard or difficult, you can probably figure it out. And there's some power, I think, in the figuring it out that's kind of says, "Ow, I did that. Okay, I can do this next thing too." I don't know. Is that your experience?
Yeah. And I think back to the kind of parenting discussion. I've learned through this journey that you do have to let people have those uncomfortable situations, because you're actually stealing from them in a way if you don't allow them to work through have those experiences where they have to work through something, right? Because those are huge confidence builders. And I agree with you that I've had probably it's a sense of persistence maybe that served me well in my career, maybe not in everything in life, but that there's got to be a way. Like this can happen. There's got to be a way. I just got to figure it out. There's got to be a solution to this. And I think part of that is getting in situations, and it's not always like international. I think I've backpacked a lot, and you get lost, or and you got to find your way out, or I've been on a backpacking trip where we forgot our food once, and for a week, and that was an interesting one in the middle of Alaska. But those little experiences in life, or big experiences in some case, are, can be scary at times, but each one of those you have gives you a little bit more resilience and strength to know I can figure this out.
I love that. It's funny, from all of the interviews that I've been doing, there's always seems like there's one really strong message that you didn't think that you were going to get at the beginning of the podcast that you end up with the end, and just figure it out. I think it's going to be the theme of our podcast together, Lori, is just figure it out. I love it.
I think I'll text that to my kids later. when they ask me for the next thing.
They just figure it out.
Just figure it out. That's going to be my theme this year.
I love it. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I met Lori in 2002 when we were both a part of a curated hiking trip in the Alps. She was by my side when I had to climb a ladder stretching across a seemingly bottomless cavern. At the time, I was just becoming a hiker, and I was afraid of heights in a paralyzing way. But there was no option other than to climb the ladder, face my fears, and be able to hug her at the top. So I have seen Lori's passion around exploring, learning, and being challenged firsthand. The theme of just figure it out has so many applications in our lives. But if we go one level deeper, we actually need to get out of our comfort zone in order to challenge ourselves in a way that makes us just figure it out. But as Lori said, when we get on the other side of the challenge, we have so much more confidence in our capabilities, and that confidence leads to trying even more things. From my time with Lori, here are our questions to consider. First, do we proactively put ourselves in situations where we can challenge ourselves and from that build our confidence? And second, how do we try to continue to learn even if we don't want to go outside of our comfort zone? Special thanks to Jane's Place fabulous producer, Aditi Joshi, who made my passion a reality. I am also so appreciative that the amazing musician, Tim Cook, provided the lively music from the Subdudes called Them Figs. This podcast was brought to you by Rudy's Bakery new gluten-free Sandos with Justin's Nut Butter, and from our friends at Naturally Colorado. I want to keep asking questions that matter, and I want this to feel like a space where your story belongs too. If there's something you want to talk about, a moment, a memory, a shift you're going through, Jane's Place door is always open. Truly. You can drop me a note on the website, join a future episode, or simply listen in when you're ready. Because Jane's Place isn't just a podcast, it's a gathering, and I'm so grateful that you're here.